You're listening to Tehachapi with Key Budge, Corey Costello, and Greg Garrett.
Welcome to another episode of Tehachapi. Key Budge, Corey Costello, Greg Garrett, we're all in the studio, and today joining us from our Tehachapi Valley Recreation and Parks District is the district manager, Corey Torres. Corey, welcome to the show again.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Second time.
Yeah, we're starting to have a couple of repeat guests, and Corey, you reached out and says, "Hey, we need to talk to the community about things that are coming up and some programs." So let's jump right into what you've got going. You're in the middle of community outreach for a program. So let's talk about that program a little bit that you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, so just to kind of back up a little bit, obviously COVID-19 is still upon us, so we're not necessarily running programs, but that doesn't mean that the work stops. We're always looking for ways to better our parks and facilities, and our maintenance guys, they're doing an incredible job keeping our parks well maintained and a place where people can still go. For myself, I'm looking at opportunities for us. So I'm looking at grants. I'm looking at opportunities for us to expand our facilities, improve our facilities. And so I wanted to reach out to you guys and try to spread the word on this grant opportunity. It's through the state of California. It's the statewide park program. And it was a bond issue back in 2018 that was issued. It was voted on and approved, and it basically provided funding for either counties or cities to apply for grant money that's already been allocated towards creating new parks, renovating existing parks, or expanding their park. And so last year was my first taste of writing a grant from this funding. There was a round 3 that was last year, and then this year is round 4. Last year, I did a grant for West Park. I wrote in for a bunch of improvements and stuff like that. It didn't go through. It was a super competitive. This is a super competitive grant, but I learned a lot last year's application, and this year I'm trying again. And so I'm doing it a little differently this year. I learned what we can improve on this round application. And so 2 of the things that I'm changing is, instead of choosing to renovate or expand one of our parks, I'm going for a new park. And so the state really is encouraging the creation of new parks. Where are the disadvantaged communities, and where are those communities that don't have park access within walking range? And so there's tools that's in this application that shows a half-mile radius, and is there any parks within that half-mile radius that's in that disadvantaged community? No. So then that makes it desirable location for an application. And so with the help of you guys, I sat down with Corey, and we looked at some locations within the city, and we found a location that looks really good for us. And so that location is a 2-acre parcel of land. It's on the corner of Cherry Lane and Tucker Road. It's a 2-acre property. And so that's the project location that we're looking to put in an application for.
And so the demographics in that area are perfect for that location, right? Because the state looks at who you are, how much money you make, how many children, all those sorts of things. And there's a little bit of a hole there, if you will, right? That needs to be filled.
The tool that we use, it's a community fact finder tool. And so you drop a pin and it gives you the demographics of the area, the people, without access to a car, the median household income, how many people living in poverty. And so that location qualifies pretty strongly.
And walkable. We've been putting in sidewalks on Cherry Lane recently, but I want to go back a little bit to the fact that, we as a community, we're trying to get a bond, pass a bond.
Yeah.
That didn't work, right? Let's be honest with everybody. And then we applied or the district applied for the bond last year, or the grant, I'm sorry. And now here we are again. So we're trying. And so I admire your tenacity, but also the fact that your team is rallying behind you, right? The parks, Bill Fisher and his team at the maintenance department, they are maintaining the parks at such a high level. It's incredible.
Right.
And the recreational opportunities, even though right now during COVID, we're not doing a lot of them or any of them, quite frankly, but your team is really well in tune, and the community is getting behind you, right? People don't trust government a lot, but you created a scenario where you're giving them a reason to trust you. And let's get behind this proposed grant application so that we can continue to provide services that this community needs and deserves.
That's a great point. I want the public to come to our parks and enjoy themselves. And so it's not, we take a lot of pride. I tell everyone I can that I brag about our maintenance guys on how much care they take. They a lot of times go above and beyond. They stay later than they're supposed to, and they come earlier because they wanted to get something done. But they just care a lot. It's not, there are parks, but they're the community's parks. It's Tehachapi's parks. And so we want it to be a place where anyone can come And that comes with, so like you said, a lot of the times people don't trust government, but we want to build that trust and know that whatever is in our area of responsibility, we want to make sure that we are taking care of it so that people can, trust us if we were to expand or move forward with any new projects.
That site you've talked about, I mean, you and I, as you mentioned, we kind of sat down and we had some other places that were probably, we thought, oh, this would be great here. But then, like you said, you sort of looked at the metrics and it was too close to other parks and it wasn't quite, this one, and a lot of what I do a lot of time is kind of like a site selection, right? Whether it's a business and that kind of stuff. So this one just seemed to work out because it's been for a while, been available commercially, and it's just where it's located is kind of odd for a commercial business traffic. But I think for a proposal like this, that's going to be a good fit right around residential and commercial, but also an opportunity to build out both a park and a small sort of community center. Yeah,
and I think it's a great spot too. And we've gotten a little bit of a small group of people kind of questioning, well, why did we pick this? You guys have Morris Park that you guys already own. It's a 20-acre plot of land that the district owns, but that site has a lot of issues. Number one being the income. The income's too high over there, and so. While we wish, it's close to the high school, it's close to a neighborhood, and it's not too, there isn't a park too close by, but the income is too high there.
Mm-hmm. And what are some of the amenities that you're looking to? Obviously, the public outreach has been a big part of this grant. You've had, 2 public meetings now already at the site.
Yep.
So what's the input you've received? What are you looking for? And then what are you intending to potentially build should you be awarded this grant?
Yeah, so we wanted to drive the conversation with what kind of amenities do you want to see, but we wanted to start by saying what our priority is. And so our priority for this project is to build a community center. Nothing too extravagant or large, but we wanted to kind of take the model of our Aspen Builders Incorporated Activity Center and kind of create a duplicate of that and make it more of a community center that's open 7 days a week. We actually want to move our administrative offices into this potential building so that we have that use open 7 days a week with certain hours per day so that it's accessible for not only for all our demographics, for families, for youth, adults, seniors, everyone. We want to provide more and more programs. And so by moving to this model, I think is such a need and a priority for us because then we can do so many more things program wise. So community center, and then half the project has to be open space, park space. And so those are the two things, community center and park. So,
and when we talk about community center, right, the Aspen Gym normally, pre-COVID was busy sun up to sundown, 7 days a week, right? And so the need is there. So talk to us more about what would be in the community center or the gym, if you will. What basketball court, those sorts of things?
Yeah.
What's the vision?
Yeah. So the 10,000 foot view is to have a basketball court. It would be nice to have the square footage for 2 full-size courts, but we're still doing cost estimating and all that stuff. At least 1 full-size basketball court. I want the term to be multi-use space so that it's not just a basketball court. We can do pickleball lines on it. We can do volleyball. We can do a partition that splits the gym so we can do a program on each side. I think a community private room that people can rent for parties, or we can hold board meetings there, or people can rent out for whatever kind of meetings or teach a class or something like that. And then we have storage needs and then our administrative offices. So that's kind of at least 1 community room, maybe 2 to maybe teach a fitness class, and then maybe more of like a classroom, maybe type setting room, that sort of thing.
Very cool.
We talk about this grant that's coming from this bond 68. This was something that was voted on statewide.
Yeah.
This isn't just here in Kern County or in Tehachapi that this bond came together. This was, you said, in 2018, but this was a statewide.
It was a water bond, wasn't it?
Park and water bond, 2018.
Yeah. And right now they've got about $400 million total that they're going to split up to these grant applications. So you're trying to get a chunk of that $400 million that's sitting up there in Sacramento that we want to bring back home.
And it's our tax dollars, right? If we don't ask for it, somebody else is going to get it.
Exactly.
So why not fill a void that's in our community?
Well, you may not have voted for it when it came through, right? I mean, back then you might not have voted for it. You might not be happy, but you might get your money back, right?
Just to be super, super clear, this is not the bond that the city of Tehachapi or the community of Tehachapi or the Parks District was trying to pass a couple years ago. Right. This is a statewide water and park bond, right? This is very different.
And it's already passed. It's done. The money's there.
Money's already been allocated.
And now it's time to issue grants.
Yeah, no confusion.
Exactly, yeah. So that's been a lot of the education. last year and this year. A lot of people like in our promotion and stuff like that, like no more taxes. But this money's already, like, again, like you guys said,
You're already paying this tax.
Yeah, it's already been, it's already been taxed. It's already been allocated. We're just trying to bring some of that money to this town.
Yeah. Now, when you've got a chance to have a couple of these community meetings, what have been some of the desires for the surrounding space? Because like you said, about half has to be park on the outside of the building. So what have been some of the feedback suggestions you've gotten from some of the residents?
Pickleball.
Okay.
I want cornhole. Right?
Hey, I like cornhole.
You know what? You know who has a really cool setup? Our friends in Taft have their wiffle ball field. It looks like it's a little mini Dodger Stadium. I think they got a grant with the Dodgers years ago. It's pretty cool. Like it's a little mini Dodger Stadium facade, and it's a wiffle ball field.
Fun.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
So for the park space aspect of it, pickleball has been, people have been coming out left and right, coming to our meetings, asking for pickleball. A little playground. I mean, a playground is always needed, especially if there's no other parks close by, especially for the, the apartment complex right there. And people, I mean, in general, people just want the kind of the openness of the park space. People can bring their own activity to the park, bring your own soccer ball, bring your own blanket to have like your own picnic at. Just a space to gather, I think, has been desired too. And then like a walking or jogging path, maybe that kind of does the perimeter around the area. And then the Antelope Valley Run is right there, so we can maybe figure out some sort of connection to it. And
and let me tell you, with having little kids and you're in the same boat, like the value of a playground all of a sudden in my life has gone way up. I mean, my kids, they want anytime they see a playground that's like, I want to go to the playground, and they'll just climb on anything, slide down anything. So yeah, the more playground space, especially for people that maybe are using the gym and they have older kids and they can be outside.
And I'm asking a couple questions too, like, because we have our parks, you guys have your parks and we have ours, but I wanted to ask the question, what is missing out of these parks? What's maybe an amenity that we can add to this spot that makes it unique from the others? I mean, a playground, of course, the park space, of course, but like maybe something specific that makes this park unique out of all of them, so that it's more of a, it stands on its own 2 feet, I guess. I want to go to this park because it has this.
Sure.
That's a good point, because Central Park, downtown Tehachapi, it's the old kind of stately, lots of shade, gazebo. Meadowbrook Park out in Golden Hills, it's a big wide space for sporting. Yeah, we need to figure out a way to make this very unique.
Yeah. And then on the community center side of it, I asked, well, what kind of programs do you want to see? Not necessarily features, I guess, or amenities inside the facility, but what kind of programs do you want to see facilitated? And that will kind of dictate how we construct the building. So what kind of leagues aren't being offered, or what kind of fitness programs, or whatever kind of programs do you feel like we could expand upon or start to offer ourselves in this space? I mean, I think that large community events can come here. I mean, we've used the gym in the past or whatever, but we want to make it a space that's unique and one of a kind, so that it goes to this space.
Yeah.
And so I know at the end of the program we're going to talk about how people can get engaged, but let's talk about now, because we're talking about indoor and outdoor. How do people get engaged? How do they talk to you? How do they provide input for this?
So we're really engaged on our Facebook. We're promoting all of our upcoming meetings. We have a dedicated page on our website, tvrpd.org/prop68. I can announce our next public meetings. The next one I'm going to be speaking at is the Economic Development Council next Wednesday, November 4th. We're already coming into November. And then Tuesday, November 10th at 4 o'clock, that's going back to the project site. Monday, November 16th, we're going to do a noon meeting just to kind of maybe see if we can get a different demographic at the project site. And then the final meeting will be Friday, December 4th at 3 o'clock at the project site. Nice. So we want to hold as many meetings at the project site as possible, so that it's accessible and walking distance from the community that's right there.
And I know we'll get that out again at the end of the show, but I wanted to make sure, in case somebody, not that anybody's going to hang up on our podcast here, but
no shot,
right? But it's super important. We want people's input. We want to know, because it's their park, right? We want them to use it, so it's user friendly.
Right. If people aren't feeling comfortable yet to maybe come to like a public setting or a public meeting, we've already put out one survey on kind of asking those initial questions that we're asking during our meeting, so that you can give your input in the form of a survey, and we take that into consideration as well.
Can you talk about any of the feedback you've gotten back, or do you have to wait until everything's collected?
We started trying to create a priority list already, and like I said, pickleball has been huge of an ask.
That's growing.
Yeah, it is.
It's amazing.
I'm getting recruited.
It's mini tennis. Yeah.
People they think I'm like looking at them crazy, but they're like, you need to try, like, come out to, where we play. And I'm like, I get it. I trust you guys. I hear about it every day.
I'll be honest. I tried tennis like one time in college. I mean, my buddies were like, "Yeah, we'll go play tennis. They keep the courts open." And we played like 2 days. And we're like,
Yeah.
Dude, this is hard.
It's tough.
There's a lot of running.
Yeah.
So
Pickleball, the court's smaller.
right. Right. You don't have to move around as
Exactly.
much, you know? And so I get it. I get people going, I want to stay active, but like I can't cover all that ground
Right.
on a tennis court, you know, playing singles.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad option.
Yeah, but like I said, the pickleball, some sort of walking path, and then just the open kind of park space that people are looking for, because there's nothing close to that in that area.
Well, I know we need more places to do yoga.
Yoga.
Yeah, namaste. But I would say that you cannot, whenever something opens up that's yoga, it's filled.
Yeah.
And you can just forget it. And I don't like it being elbow to elbow, you know. But yeah, I have tried yoga.
Sure.
And I enjoy it. It's very peaceful, relaxing.
Specifically goat yoga, or
I have not tried that.
Yeah.
But I won't rule it out. If you offer it, I'll make sure
It's
I go
available
to the first
locally.
one.
We'll get you set up.
But I mean, those are the kinds of things that, maybe it's represented, but it's so crowded, you can't get in. So that's one that I recognize.
That's really the point, right? We've grown to the point where we need more facilities. You mentioned earlier a meeting spot. You know, in Tehachapi, we just don't have that, right? We don't have a place, and I get phone calls all the time from other communities out in the desert or down the valley. Where can we meet? We want to have a strategic retreat, right? We just don't have that in any sort of volume. So this could help fill that little void too. That brings people and money into our community, new money into our community.
right? And I'm kind of putting the pressure on myself to look long term here. This last Monday, the Planning Commission, I mean, there's housing developments that are in the works in this town, and so Tehachapi is growing, and a lot of our program, we're a recreation provider, and we need, I mean, right now a lot of our programs are impacted, and we have to have partners like the school district, which we're grateful for, to use some of their facilities for example, our basketball program. We couldn't do a program that large without them. But with Tehachapi growing, we're just increasing our need for more facilities. And so that's why I'm looking long-term and trying to take advantage of all the opportunities we can to expand our facilities so that we can increase our programs and be able to accommodate more participants.
Is there anything that this grant doesn't allow you to do in the traditional park sense, that if there are certain types of facilities they don't qualify in this grant?
Thanks for asking. I mean, you asked like what kind of amenities are people asking for, and the number one was a pool. People want a pool that's open year round, and I know we have our Dynatatorium. It didn't open this year, and on a normal basis it isn't open year round, unfortunately. But yeah, a big ask is a pool, and unfortunately that doesn't qualify for funding.
But you recognize that is something the community does ask for, but you can't put in something that they're going to say no.
Right.
It's an automatic.
Right.
What other things do we have to look forward to? I mean, you talk about the vision of looking to the future, and I like the fact that, you're young, you're in charge, and you're actually looking beyond what's today.
Yeah. I mean, I always want to look for opportunities for our district to improve. So another one, I wasn't planning on bringing it up, but the skate park. We unfortunately had to see it close. It reached the end of its life, and we removed it. And so we want to turn the page on that skate park. I mean, it served a lot of families over the years, and a lot of people have memories there and grew up in this town, and they even took their kids to that park. And so we recognize how important of a need that skate park brought to the community. Unfortunately, that it had to be taken out, but we don't want to just shut the door and not put a skate park back. We do have a plan to put a skate park in. We're looking at grant opportunities for that as well, and looking at partnerships for grant funding as well. And so there is an opportunity for us in 2021 that we're going to go for, that will bring in another skate park back.
If people want to participate maybe in that or other things that you guys have got going on, what should they do? I know you talked about the Facebook page, but is that usually?
Reach out to me directly. My email address is c.torres@tvrpd.org. Give me a call. Our office phone number is 661-822-3228. I know specifically for the skate park, we're forming a committee that's where we want people of the community to come on board and help us look for other funding avenues, other grants that maybe we're not aware of, or how did so-and-so city pay for their skate park, and look at ways where we can model and not try to reinvent the wheel or things like that. And so we're creating like kind of a brainstorming committee on how we can get a skate park to our community that this community desperately deserves.
Well, I think the more that the public knows and understands, the better off we all are, because it's really hard and impossible to compare us to other cities.
Yeah.
Right. Whenever we talk about development in the city, people say, well, why does it cost so much? Or why does it cost, a lot more in the city of Bakersfield, a lot less here, or vice versa? When you talk about grant applications, when you talk about recreational opportunities, every city, every neighborhood is different, and the people that live there need to get engaged. They need to educate themselves so they can be part of the solution. Money doesn't grow on trees, and we can't provide every special interest with something that they might need, even though it's a really great idea, and I wish we had it all, but you just can't do it.
Absolutely.
And even when you compare to other, not just other cities in California, but other cities in different states, you can't make that comparison in California just because of the way property tax is allocated. A lot of communities in Texas, for example, great parks, great recreational facilities, but they don't have the sort of Prop 13 protections that homeowners in California do. So they're paying more every year, and a lot of that money is allocated to parks and facilities. And so the funding is different. The government funding is different in some of those states, and the folks are honestly paying more for that stuff. So it's a little different, too, to even compare cities outside of the state of California, just the way the funding is set up in those states based on property tax
Well,
allocation.
property taxes in Texas are way higher than California. Yeah. Way higher.
Thanks to Californians moving there.
Well, maybe so. But also, every community has the luxury of setting their own priorities. Right. And we're trying to set a priority here, right? What matters the most in our community?
Yeah.
Well, anyone can be a keyboard warrior, and just go out and whatever is coming through your mind, you just boom, blast it out on Facebook or whatever social media. I appreciate the fact that you're willing to answer questions. And even if it's not the prettiest of topics like the skate park, you're formulating a plan and you want the community to be involved. So we can take some of that energy that's out there, be constructive. Because when you look at, like, say, TMTA, these guys, they grab shovels and they go out and they put together partnerships. They figured out how to put together, a mountain bike trail system that we didn't have.
Right.
But you could complain all the time if you wanted to and just say, well, government should take care of it. Well, no. We need to roll up our sleeves and get involved. And if it's getting involved in a committee, participating in some of these different fact-finding missions that you're on, I'm sure it gives you a little bit more ammunition. And I bet you that's part of the grant process too, is they want to see what the community feedback is, what, who's saying what and how many people.
Yeah, I mean, this application is like a huge recipe book, and you get a point if you do this, point if you do that. And I want to make this application as competitive as possible. But on the other side, I want to engage the community. I have my idea of what this project looks like, but I want it to be reflective of what the community wants as well. I want it to be very useful for us, but I also want it to be what the community wants. So I want it to be good for us and good for the community.
So, Corey, again, let's recap the dates that are coming up, where people can get involved and come on out and listen to this grant process as you start to explain on-site and the other locations and dates and times.
Our next meeting is Wednesday, November 4th at 7:30 a.m. It's for the Economic Development Council presenting to the board and whoever's present at that meeting. And then we have to do a total of 5 meetings total at the project site. We've already done 2. And so the remaining 3 meetings will be Tuesday, November 10th at 4:00, Monday, November 16th at noon, and then Friday, December 4th at 3:00, all at the project site, where we want to be accessible to the people who are in that area. We want to engage with them and see what they would like to see in the site.
Go on site and you can start to look at the dream.
That's exciting. This is really exciting. More power to you. The best of luck and anything the city can do to help. And I'm sure the community is the same way, right? We're behind it.
And where online can they go to get more information?
www.tvrpd.org. We have a whole page dedicated to the grant. It shows our meeting days and times, and it has a link to the State Park Program website where you can get information on where this funding is coming from and what are some of the requirements for the application and that sort of thing.
Corey, thank you so much for reaching out. I appreciate the fact that you're not afraid to shoot me a text or give me a call and bounce some things
Get me on
off
the
of
podcast,
us.
Key.
Yeah.
More importantly, he understands the power of Tehachapi.
That's right. Well,
Oh, right. Don't flatter. Oh, my goodness. Here we go.
Corey is one of our first subscribers.
Right.
So we appreciate
I'm
that.
a podcaster, so when you guys created this, I thought it was awesome. It's another element to keep up with the city and on all over Tehachapi, so I think it's really neat.
Well, thank you for that. And thank you for joining us, and we really appreciate the time and all the effort you're putting in. I just like the energy, the youthfulness and the energy, the tenacity, as you mentioned. I think that was the word you used, Greg. It's the fight that we like to see.
Appreciate it. Yeah. I want to keep trying, and I love the Park District and what it does to the community. I just want to keep seeing it improve and grow.
You're listening to Tehachapi.
Well, as we start to wrap up another episode of Tehachapi, it was nice to talk to Corey and have him come in. I know I mentioned it, he's a smart guy, but he brings I used your word tenacity, and I like to see that. So I think he's really doing a good job reaching out to the community and sincerely listening to what they have to say.
Tenacity and grit. Corey and his brother Christian grew up in Tehachapi, were very successful basketball players, and then went on, educated themselves, bachelor's and master's degree, and he's come back, and now he's running the Parks District, and he's doing a phenomenal job.
It's nice to see Corey, you both local guys that grew up here get to work here. I didn't grow up here. I wish I did. I grew up down in the Los Angeles area and migrated my way north, but it's nice to see the circle of people that grow up here, and they enjoy it so much that they come back.
They come back too.
Raise their families here.
Yeah, and the reason why they come back, and that's kind of what Corey Torres is working on. I know it was certainly my case. This group of returners, so to speak, those of us that grew up here, went college elsewhere, careers elsewhere, and then come back because of the maturity of the area now. How we've grown up, right? So we've grown up personally, and the city and the surrounding area has grown up too. And so those offerings, that's restaurants, that's business, that's recreation, that kind of stuff. Those offerings, as they get more mature, that's when you attract people to return. Not only new residents, but you attract those folks that grew up back when there wasn't much around here to come back. And so that's what I think Corey Torres is certainly working on and has an appreciation for.
Well, and talking about coming back, the historic depot is coming back to open their doors on the weekends.
Very excited. Very exciting.
And this is the 10th anniversary.
I think it's fitting though. Like this whole year, this has been the depot's 10th anniversary, right? But this was, it got revived and then it burned down right before it opened up. And then here we are in the 10 year, and it was supposed to have this big celebration, and then COVID hits and they close down, they try to postpone, they try to open again, and it gets, they can't because it gets closed and tiers change. And it's just, I don't know, I guess it's been kind of fitting that their 10-year anniversary falls in a year of just
and the
chaos.
Phoenix is rising again.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Again, right?
It's totally fitting. Yeah, totally fitting.
Can't wait. So Tim Trujillo, the president of FOTD, Friends of Tehachapi Depot, we're going to be interviewing him soon on the podcast, right?
We're going to head over there and actually take the podcast out on location.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And we're going to go and talk to Tim on site.
Great.
And so that's something to look forward to. But everyone should know that here it's beginning in November. Mm-hmm. The depot will be open on Saturday and Sunday. You can check their Facebook page and the website for the hours that they'll have. And
obviously all the COVID precautions, right? Whatever they happen to be at that moment.
Only so many people can be in at a certain time.
Limited capacity. Sure.
Right. But the bottom line is, it just kind of shows, like you said, that Phoenix. It's something else that's like, okay, we can go to the museum and we've got something here that people ask about. I've taken family there coming from out of town, and it's like they want to look at it and see some of this history.
Every time I drive by, I see somebody looking in the windows.
Yeah.
And the timing is
so bad.
The timing is good too. We're getting ready to start putting Christmas decorations up, and that's always
the season.
One of the real charming areas, and so it'll be perfect that it'll be open as the Christmas decorations go up as well.
So we'll put the tree up in the lawn there, in the concrete here in the next week or two, and that's going to be so nice.
And then also coming up, we've got some special episodes of Tehachapi. We're going to be talking to a young author of a comic book, Seda Wolf. She has created her own Soul Stream comic that has been picked up by Scout Comics, and that's about to hit the market. You can start to pre-order it. Probably pre-order it for Christmas if you'd like to support a young author.
I don't need the pre-ordered version. She got me a signed copy.
Oh, I've got one too.
Not to brag about.
But how exciting! That's Tehachapi,
cool.
the talent in Tehachapi, it blows my mind. It's so gratifying, and so it makes me so proud. So proud.
The fact that it's a young girl, this teenager that is creative, and she put, pencil to paper. She created, and I believe she did the illustrations. But it's just exciting that it's coming here from Tehachapi, so we'll feature her in an episode.
Can't wait.
And then, of course, we've got Senator Shannon Grove, and she is a U.S. Army veteran. You guys got a chance to talk to her. We're featuring her on our Veterans Day special. Mm-hmm. We've also got messages. I got a chance to talk to several veterans at a recent event for a World War II veterans birthday parade, and I caught up with some of the vets that headed up that parade. So we'll hear from them, and then also Congressman McCarthy sent our veterans a special message, Assemblyman Fong, Mayor Susan Wiggins. They've all got special messages, and those will all be featured in that Veterans Day episode that's coming up.
Perfect. Great.
If you've got any thoughts, comments, suggestions, a topic you'd like us to explore, send us an email, media@TehachapiCityHall.com. That's media@TehachapiCityHall.com. We'd love to hear from you. I know, Greg, you're always saying, hey, if you've got a comment or question about the city, they can reach out to you. We want to make sure we've got our doors open. Corey, you do the same with the business community through economic development. So this is just another way that we talk to the community. So again, shoot us that email. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll catch you on a future episode of Tehachapod.
Tehachapod is a conversation about Tehachapi designed for the people who live here or who would like to know more about this mountaintop community. If you have a question you would like answered, email media@TehachapiCityHall.com. We will try to answer it on a future episode of Tehachapod.